Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode of Entitled People. Hope you're all doing awesome today. Be sure to like and subscribe, and let's begin. Greedy owner tries to rip off my friend, ends up paying him double. My first job out of college was for a local TV station. The owner was, and still is, the worst human being I've ever met. This guy has money, but he will cheat and lie, anything to get out of paying his bills. When I started working there, the owner had just signed a contract with DirecTV to become part of their broadcast package. Since they were at the time purely a local TV station, this meant that we had about 2 months to upgrade our system so that we can start broadcasting to DirecTV customers in the entire Bay Area. Every day that we fail to do this past the deadline means that the owner would suffer a penalty, per the contract. Not knowing about how any of this works, the owner hired a friend of mine to come in as a freelance consultant. My friend told him that for about $15K USD, he can get a system that will automate the entire process. Which of course, this guy didn't want to pay. He tasked my friend with finding a cheaper way, around half, and to pay for all the hardware up front and get reimbursed later. Knowing what a piece of crap this guy is, I warned my friend not to front the money, because he wouldn't get paid back. The guy just smiled and said, "Watch me." So he made it work. We went live on schedule and the owner was happy. Then my friend went in and presented the guy with the bill. Immediately, the usual excuses starts. "Oh, I'm a little short this month. Can I pay you later?" etc, etc. Then my friend pulled out the trump card. Not only did my friend threaten to take all the equipment back and take the station off the air, he reveals that in order to get the uplink working for cheap, someone had to come in every day and code the broadcast manually. It's not a terribly complicated procedure, takes less than 5 minutes, but of course, no one else at the station knows how to do it but him. So either the owner can pay him what he's owed, plus a $2,000 a month consulting fee, or the station goes dark, and he starts paying the penalty to DirecTV. The f***er paid, fast. So instead of paying $15K, he ended up shelling out more than double that amount, as my friend lapped up his $2K a month fee for close to a year, before he felt bad and finally taught someone there how to do it. Moral of the story, only thinking about short-term gain will always cost you more in the long run. Entitled mom thinks her son is entitled to my merchandise. I, 22NB, am finishing up my last semester of college, and decided to sell some keychains and vinyl stickers I made at my school's spring market. I laser cut these keychains, and put slogans, royalty-free icons, and some of my own personal designs on them. The keychains are pretty reasonably priced, $5 to $8 depending on the complexity of the design, and usually sell like hotcakes at the market. I'm a big Minecraft fan, so I make a lot of creeper keychains, which are pretty popular with the younger demographic. I was at my stall at the market and was finishing up a few transactions with customers when a boy, probably aged 10 to 13, snags one of my more detailed and larger Minecraft keychains off of my display. I call after him and tell him he needs to pay for the keychain. He continues to run away, and I flag over the market coordinator, John, to report the kid. Eventually, John finds the kid and tells him he needs to pay for the keychain. The kid, followed by his mom, makes their way over to my stall. I tell the mom that her kid stole the keychain, and it either needs to be returned or paid for. The mom immediately begins going off about how ridiculous and embarrassing the whole ordeal is. Not only did I scream at her son, but I sent John over to make him pay, embarrassing him in front of the whole market. The mother exclaims that her son is going through therapy because he has onset social anxiety disorder, as well as onset agoraphobia. She proceeds to look down at my shoes and sees that I have a creeper on my Crocs, and says that I could relate to the love of the video game and cut her son some slack, because that's the honorable thing to do for a child in need. I told her that I would be happy to give him a discount, but I could not afford to give these away for free, as I used the profits to pay for my college tuition. I also told her that I sympathize with her son, but social anxiety is not an excuse to be a thief. This seemed to set her off, and she began screaming at me, saying her son is not a thief. At this point, she was scaring customers away, and people were actively walking away from the booths near mine to avoid the conflict. I tried to keep a level head, and at this point, her son looked like he wanted to shrivel away. I felt bad for the kid. No wonder he has social anxiety with a mom who was willing to make a scene like this. The kid tried to give me the $8 that the keychain costs, but the mom took it out of his hand and shoved it in her pocket. Eventually, John came and asked her to step away from the booth, as she was disturbing customers. She ended up leaving, and the kid paid for his keychain. I ended up throwing in a free sticker to apologize for him having a mother like that. Overall, I ended up selling out of my stock and had an uneventful rest of the market. Some onlookers even remarked that I handled the situation pretty well. Needless to say, I will probably be switching to online sales for the foreseeable future. Well, that sure is convenient, isn't it? Your son's agoraphobic, so it's okay for him to steal stuff. Oh, your son was arrested for robbing a bank? Oh, well that's okay, because he has social anxiety. You already have a child. You should sell me your new baby. Warning, English is not my first language. This is the most manipulative and ugly, literally ugly, classist, racist person I've ever met. I've worked in customer service and do politics in a totalitarian government, so it's safe to assume I've already seen the worst of the worst. She is married to my uncle. Let's call her Mary. Mary has pulled a lot of entitled stunts over the course of her life. I probably have over 100 stories that I can share that I know of. I don't talk to that part of the family because it's toxic as hell, but there are a few family gatherings in which we meet. One of those happened yesterday, and I got reminded of her golden traits, so thought you would enjoy raging with me. Her entitlement showed yesterday, as she tried to make herself the best friend of my current boss, who's married to my cousin and he's filthy rich. She brought a friend of hers who was supposed to be strictly quarantined because she is high risk, tried to outshine the 1-month-old baby who we were all there to meet, with her already grown-up daughters who we've all met, tried to become the host of the party in a house that wasn't hers, going as far as to search for and serve food from the refrigerator that wasn't designated for the party. And to top it all off, we were also there to pray for my cousin's mother who died last week. I don't participate in Christian stuff, but she was my favorite aunt and like a second mother to me. So the moment of appreciation was very important to me, to my cousin, my other aunt, and Mary's husband, his sister. Turns out, Mary decided that since we were there to remember the dead, it would be a nice thing to not only take the role of the main person leading the prayers, but to also include a picture, a big one, of her mother, that she pulled out of her purse and put it in front of my aunt's picture, covering it almost completely, and start with a speech of her own of how she missed her mother, who died 10 years ago, and literally just said, "RIP," about my aunt's death. But I'm not here today to tell you that story. Oh no, I was just venting. Good ol' Mary is infertile. She has 2 daughters. One was conceived in vitro and then introduced into her womb. The other one popped out of nowhere. Literally. We suspect she bought it out from someone, since she has a record of trying this. But whatever. Before having her first daughter, when I was around 10 years old, my mom broke the news to the family that she was pregnant. Yay. Mary wasn't happy with this because she, as of then, had been trying for years with her husband and wasn't able to get pregnant. She always had this sort of competition with my mom, and with everyone, because she has this need of being the best one in everything. She must have the most money, have the most expensive clothes, be more successful in her career, have the happiest marriage, go to the most exotic places. But she wasn't the best. She was the only one with no children out of the 7 siblings of the family, my aunts and uncles, and she was also one of the oldest wives. So imagine her jealousy when the youngest one, directly below her husband, was going to have her second child, while her and her husband were still child-free. The horror, her status. So she pulled my mother aside one day and told her, "You know, it isn't fair that you got pregnant before us. It wasn't fair for you to have OP before your brother since he's older than you. But whatever, it can't be helped if OP was a broken condom or something. But you know we've been trying for years now and we're just exhausted. And we're not comfortable with trying those artificial methods, nor having a baby without our blood. So since you're family, and we know you're not in a financial position to take care of another baby right now, what would you say if I offered to pay for everything pregnancy related, and after the baby is born, I would pay you blank amount for keeping it as your brother and I's baby?" Of course my mom said no. She told me roughly how the proposition went years later, but only because I was the one that found out why she was so pushy about buying my brother. Because this wasn't just a one-time thing. No, she tried constantly to convince my parents to sell them my brother throughout the next 5 months, and even for some months after he was born. You see, my father is the son of immigrants. He has European bloodline, and is very handsome. Mary also has a need of proving to everyone that she has royal blood, and aesthetics are everything to her. Hence the need to show herself as the best of the best in every aspect of her life. and she will not hesitate to do anything to achieve her goal of being the perfect woman with the perfect life. This includes pretending she has white genes. She doesn't. But my mom is one of the most light-skinned between her siblings, and she married my dad, who has Italian and Polish genes, and I was born with very pale skin and smooth hair. You already know where this is going, right? One day I was minding my own business while at their daughter's birthday party, and I happened to wander close to where Mary was talking with someone. I didn't know her, and I heard how she openly complained about how her daughter was black, and how she, quote, wished she managed to convince my mom and dad to just give her their baby, because having a white son would have solved all of her problems. It is so hard to move up the stairs of society when you have a black family. And not only that, but having an ugly daughter isn't going to help either. There's no way she will marry a rich man. How is she supposed to pay her retirement? There was more said, but I can't remember it all. They, two dark-skinned people, believe in white supremacy. Oh, and by the way, I forgot to mention that the daughter that popped out of nowhere one day is white and looks nothing like Mary nor her husband. Insane Ken decides he's the parking police. I'm going to provide very specific details about locations, etc. Because 1, I don't live anywhere near the location now, and 2, I think it'll be interesting to see if anyone else had experience with this nut and or witnessed this happen. I and my wife lived in Ballantyne in the south end of Charlotte from 2018 to 2020. We rented an apartment very near to a Harris Teeter grocery store, as in walking distance. There was/is a public road that goes past the side of Harris Teeter into the complex. This is a normal public street with no parking signs. Because it's a secondary street, it's honestly not very wide, narrow enough that when people parked on the side, you have to move over as you drive past. Now, since this is a little residential street heading into an apartment complex, it doesn't have massive traffic. Somebody in the overall neighborhood decided that despite the fact parking was allowed, they simply were not accepting that. So they started vandalizing vehicles in a minor manner. Soap and shaving cream, car wash correctable vandalism, but still a pain in the ass to deal with. So one day I get to meet this Ken in person. Ken pulls up beside me and honks. I roll down my window and say hi. He's not polite. I inform him after his little rant that 1, I'm parked legally, and 2, I'm not moving. This is far more satisfying for him, so he lays on his horn, and continues to lay on it. Minutes are going by, customers are looking. Cart kid from the lot finally goes to get the manager. Ken is still laying on his horn when the HT manager comes to my window and apologizes, and then actually thanks me because this in-person nonsense has finally allowed them to identify the vandalizer and get charges pressed. Ken only gives up when this 6'4" mountain of a man walks over to his car and informs him that he has already phoned the police, and he can stay to speak with them or have them chase him down based on his plate number. Ken chose the latter and the honking stopped. My wife came out of HT just as the honking stopped and was completely oblivious to the entire thing. That's it for today, guys. Thanks for watching. Be sure to drop a like if you enjoyed, I'd really appreciate it. And also, subscribe to the channel for more. So I'm out of here. Have an awesome day, and until next time.